Hello friends, welcome again. Now in this session I will talk about alter command. Alter. And alter is used to change the structure of existing table, right? So alter can change the structure of existing table. Now you might say, why do we have to change? Let's say if I have to add a new column, you might tell me, Sumit sir, if I have to add a new column, I can drop my table and recreate a new table with new column. What's the big deal? But when you drop, you will lose all the data. You really do not want to drop it, rather, you want to modify the existing table, right? So you cannot drop and recreate. Rather, you want to change the existing one, and that is where alter enables you with that. I hope this makes sense. Now it's all a practical session, as you know. So I will drop database retail DB so that I start with a clean slate, right? So let me drop this database, and now let me create database database retail underscore DB. I'm creating again so that any table that I had is not there. We are starting from the scratch. Okay, so I have a table now. Now I will say use retail underscore DB. So I'll even mention all the previous commands. So I drop database retail underscore DB. This is what I executed initially. Now let me connect to this database. These are the three commands I have executed. That means now I will have a database without any tables, fresh database. Okay. Now what I want to do is, I really do not want to waste time by writing create statements and insert statements. So I already have some of this boilerplate kind of things ready with me. So I want to now create a orders table which has order ID, order item ID. That means inside one order ID we can have multiple items, right? You know that. For example, your order ID might be one, but in your order item ID you might have one, two, three. That means inside one order you might purchase three items, right? Order date, which is a date type, customer ID, which is a int type, that means the customer who purchased that order, product ID, what product was purchased, right? Quantity, in how many quantities are purchased, and the price for each product quantity, and then total price. Total price would be quantity into product price, right? So let me create a simple table. Here we have integer, float, and date. These are the columns that I have here, right? So let me create this table structure, and table is created. Table is created. Okay. So now if my table is created, how do I check the structure of this table? I can say describe table. Uh, what's the name? Orders, right? And so describe orders. We do not have to mention table, describe table name directly, right? So we have order ID, which is integer, order item ID integer, and you can see all whatever you have given is here. That's fine. Now let me do one thing. I want to insert five orders to this. So you can see the first order has just one item, the second order has three items inside that, right? If you have to see this way, the second order has three items and purchased on this date, and this is the customer ID 256, right? Product ID was 1073 502 403, and one quantity was purchased for this product, five quantities were purchased for this product, one quantity was purchased for this product, right? And price was this and this, and total, that means quantity into price is this last column. Perfect, right? Let me insert this Let me insert this, right? And I have inserted. Now what I can do, I can say select star from orders. Let's see, what does it say? I can see all these five orders which I have inserted just now. And by the way, my auto commit is on, right? So it's already committing, right? Till now, I have shown all what you know. It's not that something new I have shown, right? Okay. Now what I have to do is, uh, let's say, what I would do now, I want to add a new column. I'll write it. I'll write it here. I want to add a new column because my business wants me to add that. My business wants me or gave me that requirement that now in this table you do not have a order status. We need to have that order status. That's the instruction that came from the management, right? So order status is what they asked us to add now. And this order status, is holding something like complete orders, pending payment, like that. So here order status is nothing but a varchar, right? A varchar string kind of column that we need to add. And the maximum length, I think we can give, let's say, 20 should be fine, right? 20 should be fine. So how do I add a new column? Now you might say, Sumit sir, let's drop this table. Let's create a new table and have one more column. No, but I will lose this data, right? I do not want to do in such a long process and delete and get rid of my data. No, I want to have this data intact. I want to have this data intact. I do not want to get this deleted. So how to add this new column? So what we can do is we can write a alter command, alter table. So I can say alter table, right? What is the table name? Orders. So generally it's a best practice to give the keywords in uppercase. Even I do not follow that, but whenever I remember, I keep doing that. So alter table orders, uh, add column, because we want to add a column, right? Alter table, table name, add column. What is the name of the column that you want to add? Order, order status, and then we have to tell what data type it is. Varchar of 20, varchar 20, and this is what I will run now. Done. That means with this I have added, so add a new column named order status, which is of varchar type, string type. So table is added. If you see table structure by describing it, you will be able to see that, no big deal. But interesting thing to see is that when I do a select star from orders, that extra column, what value it will hold? What value? Because we have not given the value earlier, right? And what will be the position of this new column? Remember, new column is always added at the end. There is no way to add it in the middle. New column is added at the end always, right? And right now for all the, let's say we have 20 rows earlier, let's say, then for all these 20 rows, it will show as null, right? Let me show you select star from orders. So you can see this, it's added towards the end and it hold null values because initially we didn't insert it that, of course. We added the column later, right? So I hope this would make sense, right? Okay. Now what I want to do is, uh, let's say in this table, I'll just show you. I want to get this record inserted. I want to get this record inserted. This one, whatever you see here, right? This record I want to get inserted. How do I get it inserted? How I was inserting earlier? Like this, right? So To insert this, if I give this now, insert into orders values, and I'm giving this, and I'm not passing order status here because see, let's say I didn't get to know table structure as someone has changed the table structure, right? I do not get to know someone has changed the table structure and I'm still inserting the same way I used to do, right? Now, what will happen? What will happen? Will this work? Will this work? Insert into orders values. Will this work? It will give error because it says column count doesn't match, right? Column count doesn't match value count, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, we are giving 8 values, but it was expecting 9 values because there is one more column called as order status, right? So you see that someone modified the code of definition and my insert script is failing, and I would then later realize that, oh, someone changed the table definition and I should be passing one more column, right? So it's always a best practice that you give a name of columns here. If I would have given the name of columns here, right? For example, I'll just tell you what I'm trying to say. So for example, this statement, right? This statement, insert into orders, right? And I'm giving the list of columns. It does not have order status, that's fine, and I am passing the same number of values. This would work. That means backend changes would not have impacted this, would not have impacted this. So it's always a good practice to mention the column names, right? Sometimes you might think, oh, why to add those? So this is the reason, and you can see this is inserted now, and I can do a select star from orders in order to see this, right? The 7 I added, and since I do not pass order status, it is coming as null, and that is what is the expected behavior, isn't it? Okay, so we are good with this. Okay, now next what I want to show is, uh, let's say I will delete this order, whatever I have inserted, whatever I have inserted, I want to delete it. How will I delete idly? Again, whenever you get recall this, all the system defined keywords, give it in caps. It will help or make it more readable. Delete from uh, orders, delete from orders where order id order id equal to 7, right? I want to delete this, and this will be deleted. And if I show select star, you won't see this particular order 7. That's great. So you kind of understood how do you add a new column. You understood that. Now since I added the order status, now let me try inserting records for order 7, right? So if you see, order number 7 has 3 items inside that, and I am adding the order status also. Now even though in the table it was last column, but here whatever ordering I mention, for example I am mentioning order status here, then I can pass early, but in the table it will be stored at the end, right? Whenever you say select star from table, it will show towards the end, right? So let me add all of these three, and you can see that I am following a good practice of mentioning the column names. One more thing that you will see here, this is a insert where you are doing multiple inserts in one single statement. So you see first insert and then second, so comma separated, you can see this, comma separated. So here I am inserting 3 entries with a single insert statement. Let me just do that. Let me just do that, right? I have inserted it. Let me just do a select star, and you can see 1 2 3 4 and 7. 3 entries are there for 7, and order status is also mentioned as complete. That's what I was expecting, right? Just have a look at this. Okay, Now what if let's say I have to insert some entries for order number 8, and I do not want to give the order status. I do not know the order status. Then how to do that, right? So there can be multiple ways to do that. This I can do. You can just have a look here. You can just have a look. I can give order status as null. So you remember, I'm not giving it inside single quotes or some other way, right? I am just saying null. And null means absence of a value. If I would have given this, right, you might think, oh, this is also absence of a value. No, this is empty string. This is string. And but I'm saying it is null. So nor it's enclosed in single quotes, nor double quotes, nor it's like a empty string. It means absence of a value. The value is unknown, right? Null is a different thing altogether. Now this you can think is equivalent to, if you see, this would be equivalent to, if I write it, equivalent to, I just copy this here. I remove this order status, right? And I remove this null. So don't you feel it is equivalent to this? So if I run any of this, it means the same, because by default, if we are not passing a value, it will take as null, right? So anyways, let me run this. Okay. And I ran this. If I do select star, you can see order number 8, 4 values, and order status is null, right? I hope this would make sense. Just have a look. Okay, fine. So you kind of understood about how to add a new column. That's great. Now, how do you drop a column? So you have a requirement from business. You have a requirement from business that in this, the last column, total price, is more of a derived column, right? If you multiply quantity and product price, we will get it. Then why to store it separately, right? There is no point of storing total price separately because it's more redundant. Because anyways, when we multiply quantity by product price, we will get it the same thing. So they have asked to remove it from the table. How do I remove this particular column from the table, right? So I will just say drop drop a column. That's what I want to show now. Drop a column. And for this, the command would be alter table, table name orders, right? drop column drop column, and the name is total price. Now think that, do we have to give data type just like earlier we gave while creating column? No, because we are saying, oh, this particular column, delete it. Why to give data type now, right? Drop this particular column. So let us execute this, and the column is dropped. You can see, say, describe orders. Just to verify, you can see you will not have that. You will not have total price was second last column, right? You do not see it now, but you see order status, which you have added varchar 20, right? Okay, so you understood how do you drop a column. And there can be some times that you have to add a new column, you have to drop a column from existing one, and that's where this alter command comes very, very handy. So what we have seen till now, we have seen how to add a column, how to drop a column. Next, what kind of schema changes can be there? The main change that can be there is that, what if you have to change a data type of a column? Can you change the data type of a column? Let's say initially when you created a table structure, you gave some data type, but later you realize that no, no, this should be different, right? Then how do we do that? So I'll say select star from orders just to see the data, right? And then we will take it forward. Okay. So this is the thing. Now let's say the business gave a requirement that here we are not able to capture the time in the order date, and it is not proper. That means time should also be captured, can be for various reasons. Let's say whether the sales happen more in the morning or evening, what time more sales happen, can be various reasons, right? So they have asked that include or change this order date from date to date time. So the requirement is to change date from date from date or change order date, right, from date to date time, so that the time can also be captured and some analysis can be done, right? So is it doable? Yes, of course it's doable. How do you do that? So what we can do is we can say alter table orders, alter table name, modify. Modify is the keyword here. Modify, which column you have to modify? Order date, and to which or to which data type you have to do? You have to say date time. You mention which data type you want. Alter table name, modify order date to date time. I mean, two is what I see in English language, but not here, right? So you can see this. Now let me run this, and this executed successfully. Now you might be thinking earlier there were some records with just the date, time was not there. Then what would have happened, right? So let me show that. If I say select star from orders, it would put just 000000. So first one is hours, minutes, and seconds, right? Accordingly, so everything is put as zero. So basically, these were compatible types. Date, time, and date are compatible with each other, right? Date, time, I'll write it. Date and date time are compatible types, compatible data types, right? So I hope this should be pretty much clear to you. Now, what if I want to change it back to date? Let's say for some reason I understand, no, no, it should be date only. What will happen now? Will it work? Will it work or no? These are compatible types, so it should work. Let's execute. And you see it has executed without any warning. Without any warning. You can see this, right? Because the time was 000. That means even if the time is lost, we are not losing any data. So it's not even giving any warning right now. It's fine. And if I say select star from orders, it is back to the level where it was earlier. I hope this should be clear, right? Okay, let me again change it back to date time. Let me again change it back to date time. It worked, right? So from date we made to date time, from date time to date, and from date to date time again. Fine. I have done this three times for a reason, right? I will see what orders are here. Okay, these are the orders, right? Fine. What I will do is, I will basically delete order ID 7. Where this complete is there, order status complete is there, right? Let me delete this. So I think earlier I had that statement. I'll just pick it from there. Okay. I'm deleting this order ID 7 because I want to show one scenario. That's why. Right? Do not worry why I'm deleting as of now. Delete it. Right? So order ID 7 is not there anymore. Now what I want to show is I want to insert this order ID. So I want to, if you see, I want to insert this, right? I want to insert this order ID, right? 7. And I am giving proper date time, that means date and time for one of the orders. For remaining, I'm just giving date, so it might give 0000, that's fine. Because right now, our order date is date time, right? I'll just show you. Describe, describe orders. Before I do anything, let me just show you this, that what exactly it is. Order date is date time, so it should be able to accommodate this. And whenever I am giving this, it will give 0000, all of that, right? So that's all perfect. Let me insert this order ID 7. Done. And now let me do select star. Let me do select star from orders. I see this order ID 7, and you can see this is coming fine. Remaining is 00, right? Perfect. Now, what I want to do is, let's say I want to now convert from date time to date. What will happen? So there is some data loss, you can understand. There is some data loss that will happen, because if I remove this part, right side part, then some date information, the time information will be going away, right? So let me modify that to date again. And you see, it has given a warning saying incorrect date value for column, right? That means there is some data loss it has detected, but it worked with a warning. It worked with a warning, right? And the moment I show you select star, you can see it has converted to dates. That means the time part has gone. That means there is some data loss. To some extent, there is a data loss. I hope you can understand. Now you might think, okay, we can recover from this data loss by converting date to date time. Let me do that. Let me do that if you are thinking that way. And I converted date to date time now, and I am again executing this. You see, once data is lost, it is lost, right? When from date time you convert it to date, the hours part gone, right? The time went away, right? It's discarded. After that, if you go to date time, it will give 00 only. That means some data loss happened, but it gave a warning for that. I hope you kind of got it, because I have created this example, interesting examples which should really help you out, because you have to understand that when alter command works, when it fails, when it gives warning, and so on. Right? Okay. So this should help you little bit, I believe. Now, since now this order date is a date time right now, right? The business asked me to change the column name, right? The business asked me to change the column name because it shows order date, which is little misleading. They asked that can we give order time instead, right? So how do we change the column name? So what we can do, alter table orders, alter table orders, rename column, rename column. What column name I want to rename? Order date, right? Order date to what I have to do? To order time. That's what I will say. Alter table, table name, rename column, order date to order time. Very simple. Done. Now, if I say select star from orders, if I say select star from orders, you should be able to see that this is order time. You could have even described this table to see this, right? So the name of column has changed now. Very simple thing, right? Okay. Now what I want to do is uh, this product price. Business asks that, okay, going forward, let's not track this decimal points, right? Let it be a whole number, integer, right? Let it be an integer. That was the ask from business, right? Let's remove this complexity of float. Then what to do? So change column data type float to int, right? Let me try doing that. I'll just take, okay, anyways, alter table orders, modify, modify, what I have to say? I will say, what's this? Product price, product price to int, right? I'm saying alter table name, modify this particular column to int. As simple as that. And now int to float, float to int, all are compatible types actually. So you can see this will work. And if I say select star from orders, it will only show the integer part, right? These are compatible types. Float to int to float, all are compatible. Okay. Now next requirement which business gave, they said that product ID right now is mapped as integer, but we will never do aggregations or arithmetic operations on this. Can we convert it to a string like a varchar? Can we convert it to a string? So the business gave requirement change column product ID, product ID to or from int to varchar. That's what they asked. Now what we can do? I'll just copy this. I'll just copy this. Alter table name. Modify product ID and instead of int varchar, and let's say I will say varchar of 5 because I know products are under 10,000, right? There are less than 10,000 products, let's say, right? Then I know that the number will not exceed 10,000 and it should be like five in 5 digits, in five this thing characters I can mention that. So let me just do that, and you can see this has worked. See, varchar can accommodate anything. Anything it can accommodate, right? It can accommodate a date, it can accommodate a int, it can accommodate a float, everything it can accommodate actually, right? Then you might ask me, okay, Sumit sir, when varchar can accommodate anything, then why do we have data types? Everything could have been a varchar, right? Everything could have been a varchar then. But think of that if you have integers as varchar, then how will you perform arithmetic operations? You lose certain properties out, right? If you have date as varchar, you won't be able to perform date related operations like minus one date or what is 1 week less than this date. All of those functionalities gone then, right? That's why you want to model it properly. It's not that everything you model it as varchar so that you do not get errors, right? I hope this would make sense. Okay, now let's say the business asked, I'll just show you first of all the table again. The business asked that this customer ID, the customer ID, now they want again, they said right now it is as int, please model it as varchar, right? Because it should be a string, not an integer, because we do not have to perform arithmetic operations. Okay, now let's say I was doing that, right? First of all, I mention it here, right? Change column customer ID, customer ID into varchar. Now let's say this task was given to me and I was doing, but I thought the number of customers would be little less, and what I did was I said varchar of 3. I thought it will be at the max 3 digits or 3 characters. But the customer ID was bigger than that, right? If I would give here, let's say 7, 8 characters and everything falls inside, it will work fine. But now, what if I'm giving varchar 3 and you see some of this data which is already present is more than 3 characters? What will happen? Right? It will give us an error. It says data too long for column customer ID. And because see, it should not tolerate data loss, which is a big loss, right? Little bit truncation here and there, like float to int is fine, right? Date time to date is fine. That is manageable. But this kind of thing that there were 5 digits and in the end you are left with 3 digits, that is wrong because data will not be meaningful then, right? It has not allowed us to do, right? Otherwise, varchar into varchar is possible, where anything can be accommodated in a varchar, but at least you give the right size for it. Here, the size is not correct, that's why it failed, right? Okay. Now, let's say out of curiosity, what you want to do, you want to, you already have the date time, right? Date time. You want to think and convert it to integer. Is it possible? I think you would have the answer. Change uh, order time or date time date time format to int. Can you do that? Let me try doing. Alter table name, modify order time, and I am saying int. I mean, it does not make sense. How will I int hold this, right? How will I int hold a string which is not integer? How will int, let's say, hold name Sumit? It cannot, right? So same way it cannot hold date. It will fail. It says out of range value. It does not understand anything here, right? Now, what if I would have changed this order time to varchar? Of course, anything can be accommodated in a varchar, right? So I'll just copy this and say date time to varchar. But if I say, let's say, varchar of 5, that means it would lead to data loss, so it will again give out error. It says data too long. But if you would give 50 here, it will work. It will work, right? It worked. You can see. So I'm trying to build that thought process that you, without running, should understand what might work and what might not. Logically, think logically, right? Okay. Now, I hope all of this should be pretty much clear to you. Now, from this varchar, again, if I want to convert it to date, is it possible? Is it possible? Let's try doing. Uh, Before that, I will say change varchar to date time, or let's say date only, whatever, right? So I can say date. It should work. It should work because you see, varchar would have captured exactly the same value, right? And that could be converted to a date because it's already in date kind of format. So let me run this, and you can see this has worked fine. This has worked without issue. If I show you the data, it would not be corrupted from orders. Select star from orders. Let's see, and this is all perfect, right? So why do you do not want to keep date in varchar format? Because if you keep date as varchar like a string, then you later we will learn many date related functions that okay, present date -1, right? Or add 1 hour to that. How can you do those operations? It won't work, right? I hope this makes sense. Now, what business wants is that this order status we thought will be something like complete, pending payment, like that, but instead they want to have a int, integer code like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 means complete, 2 means pending payment, like that. So instead of a string or a varchar, they wanted to keep it as integer because requirement has changed, right? So change order status to integer. Is that doable? Is that doable? Let me just show you that. Alter table name, modify order status, and what you want to make it? You want to make it integer. Will this work? Now think that there is already some value complete. How can this complete be converted into an integer? Cannot be, right? So this should fail. This should fail. Let's see. You can see this incorrect integer value complete. I mean, you cannot say complete and convert it to integer, right? You cannot do that. I hope this is clear. But what if, let's say there were no values inside this? That, for example, right now, the entire problem was that there was some value, like these three rows have a value complete, which is not able to get converted to an integer. What if these three would have been null, or these three rows were not there? Then what would have been the case? Let's do that. So what I will do, I'll delete from orders where order status equal to complete. Let me delete these three rows, right? Let me delete these three rows. Okay. I deleted these three rows. Let me show you the data. And when I show you the data, you see everything is null here. Now, if you try running the same command, right? If you try running the same command and want to convert this string to integer, then it is doable because internally there is no data, then there is no problem. It can convert it to integer. Let's see. And you can see this has worked. This has worked now, right? And if I say describe, let me just say DESC orders, right? I'll just show you that order status. If you see, it is int now. And if you pass string, it will not work. It will take integer values only, right? So when data was not there, it was able to do that. So this is quite important thing which I have talked about. Now, the last thing that I would like to tell in the session, let's say now the business says that you have done a lot of changes to this, and this orders table has a status also now. So please rename the table name as orders with status. So rename the table as orders with status. Right now, our table name is orders. Please rename to this. How to do that? So we can say alter table orders rename to and I can give orders with status, and this will change my table name to orders with status. Let us see that it worked. And if I say show tables, let's see, it says orders with status, right? So we have learned quite a lot, and I feel you would have enjoyed this session because it's all scenario based, and these kind of requirements keep coming in a company, right? So we saw basically what we saw. We talked about DDL command. Earlier we covered create, where we created a table. We talked drop, to drop a table. In this session I covered alter in very good depth, right? Alter in very good depth I have talked about. And alter is that you want to change the structure of the table. Table is already there, but you want to change the structure. You do not want to drop and recreate, right? So in alter, what have we learned? We learned how to add a new column. We learned how to drop a column, existing column, right? These two are simple things, but main thing which is little complicated is how to change the data type of existing column, right? In terms of writing, it is not complex, but in terms of understanding that what will be the behavior is complex, because what you have to understand that are the types compatible or not, or will there be any data loss or not. Based on that, it will decide what will happen, right? So it should be compatible data types, plus there should not be any data loss. So how to change the data type of existing column, how to rename an existing column, right? And then we learned how to rename a table. So these are the things that we have learned, and I think you would have really enjoyed this session. Remember, varchar can accommodate anything, but does not mean that if can it can accommodate, we have to keep everything as varchar. That's a bad design, because later you will not be able to get lot of functionality. For example, if let's say we have, let's say, product total price, right, or total amount. Let's say if we model it as string, later we have to sum it up. How can you sum up a varchar, right? It's difficult. Then you have to typecast it and so on. So model it properly, and then you will get the best benefits from that. So with this, let me end the session, and I hope you liked it. Thanks a lot.